Hello and welcome to This Album with me, William Hann. It's the podcast where each episode a guest and I will deep dive an album of their choice. Any artist, any genre, any year. And we are going to discuss the songs, the shows, the artwork. But what I really want to know is where my guests first heard the album and the emotional attachment they have to it. Who knows, we might even have a bit of a laugh while doing it. Well, today, I am joined by a man that has achieved the impossible. He is a man that has single-handedly brought 90s hand-placing icons of rock, reef, back to cultural relevance. Now, he may have lost any possibility of ever being considered cool in the process. He's such a company man at Radio Gecs that it was a sacrifice he was willing to make. Commercial rock/indie must always come first. He is a powerhouse in the world of comedy, podcasting, and comedy podcasting. A man whose taste in music is more absurd than his relentless dedication to constantly dox both himself and his family. From the writer's room of all your favourite TV shows and from one half of everyone's favourite Sunday morning Radio X show. No, it's not Danny Wallace. No, sorry, it's not Ed Gamble. It's the far more easily available and affordable Matthew Crosby.
Hello, William. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, Matt. Yeah, pretty good. Happy and healthy. How's life treating you?
Yeah, very well. Thank you very much. Very well. I've forgotten my gilet today, but I'm muddling through.
It's a chilly one, isn't it?
It is a chilly
but
one,
luckily,
yeah.
the car seat headrest jumper.
It's keeping me nice and warm.
It's doing something for you.
It's keeping me nice and toasty, yeah. I've become basically a sort of, like, every day is a different advert for at least one band I like. That's my style now. I think I've probably got a band t-shirt. Yeah,
big reveal. Come on, who we got?
Didn't even have to check, but They Might Be Giants Flood tour, which I went to the other day. What I'm basically trying to do is, in my mind, I think I'm trying to say, look, I'm still cool, but I'm just advertising the bands I listened to when I was like 15 or 16 a lot of the time, you know?
So still cool. What does a cool person look like to you in 2025?
Well, I'll tell you what they don't look like. They don't look like a 44-year-old man wearing a Lemonheads t-shirt, but that is me. I think in my head, your version of cool gets fixed at quite an early age. So I was watching I was on Instagram today, and I was watching Nirvana on Saturday Night Live. Pretty cool. And I think for me, that's just it. That's just what cool was. You know, early to mid 90s American rock music. That's cool.
Well, buckle up, American rock fans, because that is not what we are talking about today.
No, we're talking about modern. I mean, it's American hyperpop music, but yeah, I think that's in my mind what I think cool is. What's your idea of cool?
I would say hyperpop from American.
Yeah, there we go.
Absolutely.
There we go.
No, I'm a little bit younger than you because you're obviously particularly older gentleman.
I'm a particularly older gentleman. Is that?
I'm younger than you.
I'm happy with that.
No, but obviously I'm a sort of Libertines, Arctic Monkey, Strokes guy.
Right.
Alex Turner. Cool guy.
I like Alex Turner, yeah. I think Alex Turner is another man who is, you know, I see what he's doing. He's another guy who wants to be cool.
Yeah.
He cares.
He's not, yes, exactly. There's the two kinds of cool. There's the effortless, I'm not trying to be cool, just so fucking happens, I'm pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the Alex Turner, I'm going to smoke a cigarette indoors.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my sunglasses on to do it. And I will shag your girlfriend.
I think if you look at the two examples you gave, Strokes and the Arctic Monkeys. Strokes, effortlessly cool.
Effortless.
Right? They just don't have to try. Julian Casablancas was cool back then, you know, in 2000 or whatever. Was it 2001 that Is This It came out?
As a Strokes historian, I can confirm. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right, because it came out the year of 9/11. We all remember because they had to take off New York City cops. Yeah. That's right.
Where were you when you first heard the Strokes, and how much sooner was it until you heard the...
Yeah, when you first heard the news that New York City cop had been dismantled. But yeah, so I think he's someone who's effortlessly cool, whereas when Alex Turner started hanging out with Richard Hawley and then just dressed like Richard Hawley and had the same haircut as Richard Hawley, or when he started listening to Scott Walker and was like, oh, I want to do Scott Walker type music, you know, you can see him always grasping for it.
Yeah.
And That's me, except my influences aren't as cool as Richard Hawley or Scott Walker.
Well, you're pulling off the Lemonheads thing pretty well.
Thanks,
so
man.
Credit where it's due,
Appreciate
Matt.
that.
So for those that don't know much about you, Matt, who are you? What do you do? What's your vibe, mate?
Oh, 3 big questions.
Thank you.
I'm Matthew Crosby. I
That's the
am
first one.
a comedian and writer of some standing. I'm not going to say high standing, but I'm still doing it, and I've been doing it for about nearly 20 years now. And that's me. What's my vibe? Is a trickier one. I'm a father of 2 kids, so that sort of dictates a lot of the vibe. I've recently bought a gilet. That's a vibe, isn't it?
Well, I can relate to that actually. For Christmas, I got something which was definitely a new chapter. My wife got me a very sensible pair of walking boots.
Great. Yes. Well, I live in boots. I've got my DMs because obviously, rock and roll.
Yes.
But I do, sturdy shoes. You realise after a while, sturdy all-weather shoes, very important.
Well, let's find out as the year goes on, Matt. They've served me well for the first 2 weeks of the year.
I think you might, apart from on insanely hot days, there's never a day when boots aren't the right answer.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Do you think Julian Casablancas has ever worn a sensible pair of walking boots?
No, he's Converse no matter what.
Converse man through and
He's
through.
pure Converse.
Cut him, he bleeds Chucks.
He does bleed Chucks, yeah. I don't think he's the kind of person, though. I think he would want his Converse. He would wear them until they fall apart.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's got someone who already distresses his Converse for him.
A person that's in charge of Converse distress, a Casablancas Converse distresser. Are you saying that person's on the books?
There is a CCD working somewhere in NYC at the moment. That his job is to buy a pair of box fresh Converse and just wear them around the Lower East Side. Up. Yeah. Just get a variety of different kind of get
cigarette
burns, maybe a little bit of pizza cheese on there, and absolutely some cocaine.
Rat foliage, yeah, absolutely.
Sprinkle a little bit because he's too old now. He can't be doing the cocaine himself.
But he needs to give the illusion
of cocaine.
Absolutely, yeah.
A rolled up dollar bill just stuck into one of the eye holes. That's what you need.
What sort of music were you listening to before you discovered this artist, Matt?
Oh, well, I only discovered them last year. Possibly.
But what's more that you were sort of go-to?
Everything. My era is, as we said, sort of early 90s. Mm-hmm. So the first handful of bands I got into when I was like an early teenager were all of the kind of grunge bands.
Yeah.
So we're talking Nirvana, we're talking, I guess, although they wouldn't necessarily consider themselves grunge, but like Smashing Pumpkins, bands like that. Before that was very into Guns N' Roses. So like American
guitars,
American rock, loud guitars, people with hair in front of their eyes.
Sure.
I love Liz Phair and I love Built to Spill and that kind of thing. That would be my main type of music I would listen to.
So I guess I'm thinking about the artists we're going to discuss shortly. They're not radio friendly. And I guess most of the artists you've described are quite high in distortion, not much gloss and sparkle over it. Like something that's a bit disruptive to the ears by the sound of it.
I used to think I wanted something to feel real, right? Because a lot of music sort of prides itself on being as kind of synthetic as possible. And I don't mean that as in a dismissive way. And it's like, look at the amazing stuff we were able to do in a studio. I think that's a very common thing now. Whereas I think I always I'm a big fan of Shellac and Steve Albini, and his stuff was R.I.P. Yeah, the big man's up top. But I was a big fan of what he did, because he never described himself as a producer. He describes himself as he said recorded by Steve Albini. So his thing was wanting to try and make it seem as much like if you went and saw this band live, we're recreating that in the studio. And I think that's something I really felt like I loved. But increasingly now, I think, and especially 100 Gecs is a good example, nothing they do is really, they might have sampled themselves playing guitars, but it's all created. They're not even in the same city, I think, a lot of the time. I think one of them is in LA, the other one is in Louisiana, I think.
St. Louis they're from,
St. Louis,
so
okay.
I don't know if they're still based there.
But yeah, so they're sending stuff, they're emailing each other the separate parts and kind of compiling it that way. It doesn't, and if you go and see them live, occasionally they'll bring out an instrument, but
who needs them?
Yeah, they're just basically they're basically singing along to the backing track of the record, but
that's modern live music, in all
it.
honesty. I think live music is very much driven by backing tracks. And I think a lot of people are very anti that. I'm sure your man from Shellac might have a few things to say about it.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
I don't know. I think it serves a strong purpose. It allows for so much more creativity in the live show instead of limitations. I think backing tracks all right.
Well, also, there were certain bands, and again, two bands I absolutely adore, the Beatles and Steely Dan, basically stopped being live acts halfway through their career and then went into the studio and were like, what can the studio do? But part of doing that was it meant they couldn't then go out. You can't perform a day in the life live.
Tomorrow never knows, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. you can't do any of that. And ditto like Aja, which is regarded by a lot of people as like the great studio album, especially of the time, but kind of all time. What is possible to do with phenomenal musicians and a studio? They didn't really tour it because they wanted just to work in the studio. They do now. But if you're a band like 100 Gecs, if you were working in
Big
the...
if.
Yes, exactly. There aren't many who can lay claim to that, but there's 100 Gecs. But if you were in the studio in the 70s making that record, that would be it. You just have to put it out and there you go. Here's the record.
Yeah.
Maybe
at the top of the Pops performance if you're lucky.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But you'd be miming along to it, which wasn't done in kind of big arenas.
Sure.
And I love it. And I think there are a two-piece, but there are two-piece who've released a record that is 26 minutes long, but nobody can accuse them of having. There's no paucity to their music. It's very full. It's very rich. There's loads and loads of ideas. There's a lot going on. No, there's no minimalism to their music.
It's a lot of things, but minimalist definitely isn't one of them.
Not one of them, no.
Right then, well, I think it's about time. Buckle up, God have mercy on us all. But today we are deep diving into the sonic roller coaster that is 10,000 Gecs from 100 Gecs. Hailing from St. Louis in America, the duo formed in 2015 and burst onto the scene with glitchy beats, twisted vocal effects, and an unapologetic love of internet culture. Released in 2023, 10,000 Gecs is an unhinged mess of styles tailor-made for the chronically online TikTok generation. That your generation?
That's me. That's me. The chronically online TikTok generation. You've nailed me there.
Absolutely. Mashing together hyperpop, punk, emo, dubstep, and even ska. It remains self-produced and it allows the duo to hold on to the raw energy of that DIY sound that made them an online cult favourite. Time signatures? They'll take all of them, please. Despite their esoteric approach and a sound that's not exactly radio friendly, the album still managed to find an audience. I know I'll be voting for them on Radio X's Best of British in 2025. So, first things first, Matt. Is this some kind of sick joke, and what the hell have I ever done to piss you off?
Yeah, when you messaged me about this, and we were sort of having a bit of back and forth as to what we were going to pick.
Yeah,
and you basically said, "Oh, I'll never forgive you for making me listen to this record." But I genuinely, even when you say it's not really radio friendly, I think this is an incredibly accessible record. Well, it's very poppy, and I think it's cut from the same cloth as I mean, they've collaborated with Charlie XCX.
Yeah.
Dylan Brady was one of the co-writers and co-performers on Guess, the song that she then did again with Billie Eilish, the remix with Billie Eilish. Charlie XCX appeared on the remix album of 10,000 Gecs. So it's all from the same world. Plus there are songs on it which, my kids who are 3 and 5 love, because they are basically, there's a
full of sugar and
well, yeah, they're like the sort of things you get on Cocomelon. They're kids. They're almost kids songs. I'm thinking specifically of Frog on the Floor.
What is Cocomelon?
Oh yeah, you don't have kids, do you? No. Kids. Well, Cocomelon. Do you know who PewDiePie is?
I know. He's like one of the first YouTubers, right? Okay.
He was the biggest YouTube account apart from Cocomelon.
See, this is the kind of intel people have come to this podcast for. This is great.
He used to have like a long-standing beef with Cocomelon because he would always be the number one YouTube account. And Cocomelon, which is sort of computer animated families singing long, not quite nursery rhymes. Ooh. And the videos are, and they'll advertise this. It's it's very rare that YouTube videos want to sort of sell you on how long they are, apart from if they're designed to keep kids quiet.
Right.
So if you're looking through the thumbnails for Cocomelon videos, it will say like 60 plus minutes, and you've got, right, boom, click on that. That'll give me enough time to have a shower. So it's lots of kind of very hypnotic, sort of deliberately so, hypnotic American, although we don't know, no one really knows who's making Cocomelon, where it's coming from. That we just know this company that pumps out Cocomelon. Kids' entertainment is dog shit. And it's annoying that we have to listen to it. No, I disagree. I think it's amazing. I think it's brilliant, and I love it. And I think definitely part of the reason I'm into 100 Gecs is because prior to hearing this album, I had spent like nearly a half a decade listening to Cocomelon, and it had got into my brain. And I was like, this is what I need from music. I need it to be weird and as if it's come from another planet, and like it's somewhere in the uncanny valley. And I think that's what's so good about this.
Do you like being a parent, Matt?
I love it because honestly, but yeah, no, I love it, and anytime. When Mr. Tumble came to the Churchill Theatre in Bromley, I went and saw him with the kids. I couldn't wait to go. I went and saw In the Night Garden. I love all kids TV. I think it's amazing.
You seem a real advocate for modern childhood.
I am. I think it's amazing. I think it's if you look at stuff like In the Night Garden, right?
Do I have to?
You don't have to, no. But I think I think you have an idea of what it is that it isn't what it is.
Right.
They're really weird, incredibly well made, quite dreamscapey. I mean, obviously it's designed to make kids fall asleep, but quite sort of weird, dreamscapey worlds. And like you look at Teletubbies, you watch it and you go, how has this been made? You look at In the Night Garden, all that Andrew Davenport stuff. You look at In the Night Garden, and you go, how is it? What's going on? How big are all these things? If I was, have you ever seen Wallace and Gromit like in the
behind the scenes.
In the clay.
Right, yeah.
They're like this big, right? And you go, oh, I assume they were this big, but they're this big. That's how I feel watching like In the Night Garden. You go, because some of this, there's a human person in a suit who's walked into a thing, but then he's walked into a thing that looks like it's this big, and then when you get inside it, so like how many sets do you have? That I find it fascinating. I'm getting a different thing that the kids are getting from it. Obviously,
of course.
How has this been made?
The complexities of the production are sort of wasted on the children.
Yeah.
But I guess it's the way you're speaking about that, I can hear the similarity in 10,000 Gecs. Like, how do you have the ideas? How do you think that comes from that, and putting that with that? What kind of warped mind comes to these conclusions?
Yeah, what's the first bit you get?
Exactly,
as well?
yeah. Because strumming an acoustic guitar.
Exactly, yeah. This is it.
That's an old idea, though. That's not how things are made.
I know
now.
it's not at all. It's and you think it's not Paul McCartney sitting down to his piano and seeing, Golden Slumbers, the music to Golden Slumbers, but not being able to read music, so writing his own tune that was better than the original. Like that world is not there anymore.
Sure.
I mean, it is. Of course, there are still people who sit down at the piano and write a song that way. But
Sam Fender's new album coming out this year.
Exactly, yeah. There are still people flying the flag, and God bless them. But you go like, what's the first? If you're writing, look at Dumbest Girl Alive, the opener of the album. If you're writing that song, are you writing the riff first? Are you writing the beat first? Are you writing are you coming up with the concept of it? How is it fitting together?
Well, I think that's quite a good starting point, actually.
Yeah.
I think it maybe starts with the intro, that sample at the start.
The THX sample.
Yes, which I know of as The Simpsons. It's in The Simpsons episode.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's so THX is the type of sound.
Audio production.
Yeah, the type of audio production. Is it Lucasfilm? Did they create it?
You're asking questions I haven't got the answers to here.
I have a feeling it might be George Lucas's company that created that sound, but it was like, surround sound for cinemas.
Yeah.
So when you were going to when you were going to see a movie, certainly I remember this in the 90s, they would play that first to be like, right, the sound's going to be pretty, the sound's going to be pretty impressive. We're going to be the cinema. We're going to be the screen that they can hear in the other screens. If you ever go and watch like a quiet film, And then and there's like a Michael Bay movie happening next door, and all you can hear is like boom, blah, boom. Hearing the THX noise is like going, you're in the loud one here.
Yeah,
This is going to kick off. So I love that.
And it does, right? And this song bloody does.
Absolutely. I mean, to talk about my friend and co-worker Ed Gamble, that's the music he came onto for his last tour.
What, 100 Gecs?
The
THX sample.
But the first sort of 15 seconds of Dumbest Girl Alive. So it starts with that, the lights
big
go
riff.
down, that big thing, and then the big riff, but then also the sort of slightly Skrillex style kind of woos, and I think it's fantastic. And as a sort of statement of intent,
yes,
immediately it starts with an old familiar sample repurposed in an odd way.
Yeah,
great. And it's exactly as you say. It's for people who are extremely online, where everything is memes and everything is found and repurposed and robbed of its context.
It's all up for grabs, isn't it?
It's all up for grabs, exactly. But it's all up for grabs without any history behind it.
Yeah,
I think this is like obviously I'm obsessed with how things fit together and what came before and what influenced what. But I think people aren't anymore because. If you see a TikTok that's got a clip of a TV show, it doesn't say this is a clip of a TV show that that aired in 1980 and it was about this. You just see this bit and it's someone saying a funny phrase and then people take that and don't even really think about it. I spend a lot of time on the website like Know Your Meme. Do you know?
I don't.
Do you know
Talk me through it.
I think it is basically for old people who will go on Instagram and hear or see someone lip syncing to something and going, right, well, I don't know what that's from. I need to know what that's from.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference between my generation and the current generation is they don't give a shit where things are from.
They go,
Doesn't
here's
matter.
the thing.
Yeah, this is the thing.
Do you like it or not?
Yeah. And what you're watching in that moment is where it's from. It doesn't really matter. They don't have to go like, I think with George Lucas's company, actually, it's like, no, they don't give a shit.
They don't care about the Wilhelm scream.
They don't. They do. Yes, this is it. This is the first generation to no longer care about the Wilhelm scream.
Wow, what a time to be alive. So how did you first discover this lot then, Matt?
So I discovered them as I do all cool things through my Instagram. The Dylan and Laura.
So it wasn't on Radio X?
I think they have been played on Radio X. And they well, also, John Kennedy has done an amazing...
Well, he's the exception, right?
Yeah, he's done an amazing...
Tape notes?
Tape notes, that's
tape
it. He's
notes.
Done a great tape notes with the guys from 100 Gecs.
Right.
And so I have a feeling if anyone's played 100 Gecs... I mean, I have a feeling we might have played them... Because in our show, we try and Trojan horse in stuff that we actually like. So I've got a feeling we might have played like a little bit of them once on the main show, but we didn't go through a whole. So it's like Ed wanting to play metal, but yeah, they don't get played on Radio X. They're not on the regular playlist. But I was if I follow Pitchfork again, semi RIP Pitchfork. I follow them on Instagram, and I just saw these two people who I didn't recognize they do this thing called overrated, underrated. They looked interesting. I watched the video and I found them so funny and weird, and they seemed to just be like, they were sort of funny as comedians. I loved the way they looked, and I thought, well, I assume I'm going to love these guys' music. I don't know. I just got a really strong, positive vibe from them. And I immediately listened to the album, and it just blew my mind. And I love it. I love the fact that I'm still able to, that still can still happen with new music. Because as I say, I listen to, wearing There Might Be Giants t-shirt, I listen to a lot of music that is, if it's not from the 90s or the early 2000s, it owes a great debt of gratitude to that time. Whereas this doesn't at all, and it's new. And I thought, this is brilliant. I really, really loved it. So just listened obsessively to that album for the next couple of days. Saw they were playing at the Hammersmith Apollo a few months down the line. Bought tickets. They cancelled, and they've not come back to the UK since. So I feel really, gutted about that. But they just immediately grabbed me.
Yeah.
And I think, it's odd and it's weird and it's full of like noise. But there's some. They're pop songs as well. They are like they're catchy pop songs with a real tune. It's not atonal sort of. It's not. I don't. It's challenging in its way, but it's also incredibly accessible in other ways. And I'm delighted. It just is. It's just that thing now. You then go. if that can happen, where there must be more bands. I mean, there are. I discover bands all the time, but that's one of the sort of things about music. It's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
You go, there's so many people making amazing stuff. How do I make sure that I
catch it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't lose out on another obsessive, connection to a band.
Because I think you're probably better than most people, my age, your age, who are sort of very much in their noughties, 90s ruts, whatever it may be. You're a very modern pop man, aren't you?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's really. I just think we're living through a really exciting time for music.
Because I know you're a big Chapel Roan head, right?
I love Chapel Roan.
Honestly, I think what she is going to do in the next sort of 12 months or so is going to be absolute. Well, it's already happening. It's already seismic, isn't it?
It's massive, and I was really, so lucky to go and see Chapel Roan.
Yeah. So how was that show? Yeah, you saw it at Brixton,
It was insane.
Right?
It was great. Yeah, I saw it. I saw Saturday night at Brixton.
Never a bad night out, is it? Saturday night Brixton
It
Academy.
was great.
You're in.
And you know what? What I loved about it is that she'd created such a movement, and people are so obsessive about her music that you could tell that everyone who was going to the gig, it must have been, like you see that footage of people going to the Hammersmith Odeon to see Ziggy Stardust, and basically everyone's dressed like Ziggy Stardust. That was a bit like how it was, even on the tube coming over. My friend Anya came over from, I think she lives in East London, so she came all the way over to Southeast London, and she knew immediately on getting on the tube. It's a bit like to go, when Tay-Tay was in town, everybody, you could get on any tube and go, oh, you guys are off. Well,
even in this very hotel, Matt,
I bet,
you go upstairs to the lobby.
Of course, yeah. And I thought that was really exciting, and as a result, it was one of the, even before she came on stage, it was one of the best atmospheres. The excitement, but also the, for a lot of people, and I think 100 Gecs are similar, they're going to mean a lot. They're going to say a lot about their lives. And
I think for a lot of people, for like 100 Gecs and Chapel Roan sort of target audience, it's probably their first ever gig, right?
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, I imagine that's the case. And if you are, I'm a boring old cis-het man in my 40s.
Hello.
But if you are, if you're like a teenager and you're struggling with sexuality or body image or, any of that, to have amazing, strong, sort of exciting bands getting like mainstream success, to see Chapel Roan on like Saturday Night Live or any, sort of big mainstream shows, you go like, oh, it's actually the culture is made for me, which I don't know if you're, even in the 90s, I think, obviously I love 90s music, but there was a lot of sort of toxicity and it wasn't as diverse as it could be. And, you even have to look at Britpop, which obviously as a kind of genre, I do have a lot of time for, and I did love at the time. But there was loads of like, That's
because you're a straight white man.
That's because I'm a straight white man who was born in 1980, of course, yeah. I was 14 when Parklife came out. I couldn't have been more in the pocket for that. But, there was a lot of misogyny, there was a lot of toxicity, and it's really good that, that's being cut through and diluted, and, the people are getting a platform now who are not necessarily who don't appear at mainstream. I think Chapel Roan's quite a sort of weird, subversive artist to be, being nominated for Grammys.
Yeah.
Ditto the same with Charlie XCX, you know. If Charlie XCX had put Brat out in the same year as Definitely Maybe, it would have been like the weirdest, the oddest, kind of most fringe, it would have been like, Throbbing Gristle or something. It wouldn't have been the thing that they played on the Radio 1 breakfast show.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really exciting.
Yeah.
And for, and as someone who's bringing up kids, 2 daughters, seeing the way they've responded to these bands. I mean, they're still little kids. They're still, hello.
What have you got?
What have you got for us? What have you got?
Let's have
exciting.
A look. You got sweets?
Oh,
we'll
take sweeties. Thank you.
On.
Oh,
this
man, thank you.
is the joys of working in hospitality,
This is
Matthew.
great. I just spot you.
Thank you
unless
very
you have to
much.
sort of do other rooms with them, yeah. Oh, that's
much appreciated. Thank you very much. Don't get this at Radio X, do you?
No. This is very much like when Warren Zevon was doing Werewolves of London.
Oh, yeah, this is exactly like that, yeah.
And they put a line of cocaine
Yeah.
on the piano to incentivize him to get the part right. And they were like, once you've got your part right, you can have your line of cocaine. And that's my line of cocaine.
Your part has been
no,
perfectly.
No, I can't eat on mic. I know people complain. It's interesting. I've just got myself, because it's January. I've just downloaded a new app that is like a computer game, but for good habits. It's one of those sad.
Talk me through it.
Do you know those? It's gamifying your New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
And I've just
monetizing.
Well,
people's,
no, because it's a free app, but it's basically like you're a little icon,
Yeah.
you know, like a little figure that you can design yourself. I'm a little goblin going along, and if I do some exercise tonight, I get to click a button that goes, yes, I did some exercise, and I gain some points, and I can get prizes and
Sure.
gold shields and stuff. You know, it's like anything. It's like I can't just do it because I want to feel good about myself. I have to turn it into some sort of little game.
So I wonder how that would work for Julian Casablancas' Converse dirtying member of staff.
What would he
have to achieve to stop himself being a goblin?
Well,
I found some dog shit and rubbed a pair of Converse in them. Can I click on my icon now, please?
I think his is very much the opposite. It's like all of the things that people are giving up.
Yeah,
he's got to take up. Yeah.
Understood.
Absolutely. But I did just put no sweet treats on my little habits thing today, and I feel like
they've not looked at me once for the last 30 seconds.
You're
looking at those.
I can't take my eyes off them. So basically, he said sweets. They're not just sweets. They're like little macaroons, aren't they? Yeah. They look pretty nice. Oh well.
Ooh.
Oh well. They're still there anyway.
Ooh.
But yeah, I think it's great that people like Chaperone are smashing it, and everybody loves them.
Yeah. What a time to be a 17-year-old, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What a great time.
So what do you reckon with 10,000 Gecs? They're called 1,000 Gecs.
They're called 100 Gecs.
Do
you know what? It's very confusing.
Hell, yeah.
They're called 100 Gecs.
They're called 100 Gecs.
The first album was 1,000 Gecs. The next album was 10,000 Gecs.
Well, that leads me on. I mean, how many Gecs is too many Gecs?
Well, this is it. I mean, there's only two of them.
And how do we know when the Gec levels have been plateaued?
I mean, it'll be a sad day, won't it, when the world is gecked out? I feel like, yeah. I mean, presumably their next album. I don't know if they're going to keep doing this. You know, are they going to keep
adding Gecs, adding zeros of Gecs?
That's right, because like there have been bands who've done it before, haven't they? Where they've just gone like, you know, every album has been called either their name and a number or something along those lines. I'm thinking of Led Zeppelin, right?
Right.
Led Zeppelin. I think they went Led Zeppelin 1, 2, 3, 4. No, they did Led Zeppelin 1, 2, 3. The fourth one didn't have a name because it was the fucking 70s, and they all picked a different sign or rune they wanted to correspond with their name, and that was the name of it. And then the next one I think was Houses of the Holy. So they were just like,
These numbers are getting boring.
Yeah, exactly. How far down the line are we going to be like, you know, no, that song's not on 10 million Gecs. It's on 100 million Gecs. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
sorry,
right.
Hang on. No, I'm sure it was 100 million thousand Gecs, no?
100 million thousand Gecs, yeah. Because I think the first EP was just called 100 Gecs.
Sure.
So they are, you know.
Easing yourself
there's a pattern.
in gently.
There's a pattern, yeah.
And what do you reckon? Obviously, they've got a look, this band, haven't they? They've got an image. How important do you think the fashion and imagery around this band have been to your enjoyment, Matt?
Well, the look was what drew me in the first place. I don't know. I mean, they've got that thing where they're sort of, they look quite similar to each other.
Yeah. Are they siblings?
No, they're not. But I think they were the two oddballs who met. Like, I think they met at a party and they were like, "Oh, we're both odd. We should be in a band together."
Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah, I think exactly like that. Yeah,
two Spider-Men.
two Spider-Men.
Two Spider-Men, 100 Gecs.
But yeah, no. Laura and Dylan both have like long, flowing sort of blonde hair.
Yeah.
Every album they've kind of covered their faces. I think they're sort of staring. They've got their backs to the
Is it a river?
The camera. But yeah, whereas this album here, I love it because people think this is, so they just to describe it if you're only listening to this, it's the two of them, it's Laura and
It's
Dylan.
like they're celebrating a football goal in the 90s.
They've got the t-shirts pulled over their heads, black t-shirts pulled over their heads, and they've got now these are real tattoos.
I was going to ask this, is that like painted on, or are these real tats?
No, these are real tattoos. So Dylan, his entire torso, and we're talking about just below his navel to way above his nipples, up to the collarbone, basically, is a big musical note. Do you know your musical notes? Is it a crotchet? Is it a minim? Is it a quaver, a demi-quaver?
I'm out of my depth for musical notes.
It's the one that's like 2 Mickey Mouses, 2 sticks and a bar at the top.
Perfectly described. Good job.
Thanks, man. That's
in lieu of knowing what it's actually fucking called.
Words are my tool, apart from the words that, describe things. But that's a real tattoo. And he was asked about it because people have questioned whether or not it's a real tattoo. If you're going to 100 Gecs gigs, a lot of the fans will Sharpie it on themselves.
Nice.
And go to the gig shirtless. But that's a real tattoo.
I wish you thought of that. Oh, God, bloody, I wish I'd just done that instead.
Yeah, but then, you know what? What a pain in the arse. I did an Edinburgh show. In 2012 where I had to have a drawing of my own face on my belly.
You didn't have to. You chose to.
Well, yes, I chose to. But in order for this sketch to work, there had to be a drawing of me. I had to get it was meant to be I got a tattoo of my own face on my stomach. So every day I'd have to get to the venue early for one of them to draw my face on my stomach. And it was just there for the whole time because, if you're drawing it on every single day, you can be showering 3-4 times a day. You're not scrubbing off pen. It's hard to get it off. So it's there the entire time. A little
bit of ink poisoning over August for you?
I'm sure. But that was, it was the Edinburgh Fringe. That's the worst. It's the
least of your trouble.
Least of the worries
Yeah.
when it comes to poisoning. But yeah, he doesn't want to have to say, to Laura, oh, colour my belly in again. We're about to go on stage. It's just good to get it done, isn't it? It's like people are on
work smarter, not harder.
Absolutely, it's like people are on telly all the time getting their makeup tattooed on. That's kind of what he's done. But he was asked about it. They said, "Why have you got a big musical note on your chest?" And he said, "Well, I reckon I'm probably going to be into music for at least the next 10 years." And I thought that's such a funny,
realistic.
I love the idea. It's like, some people would go for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Cut me and I bleed music. But he's like, yeah, I reckon I got a decade.
Well, a 10-year commitment to someone in their 20s is pretty impossible to achieve.
It's pretty huge. But yeah, the look is a big thing, and they dress as wizards on stage. And I like that, I think that kind of harkens back a little bit.
You could pull off a wizard.
I think I did. Well, I have to. My trip to Chislehurst Caves precedes me. But yeah, I definitely feel like there's a, if you look at like old Genesis footage or whatever, Peter Gabriel, he would come on dressed as a sort of like a weird old scrotumy goblin man and that kind of stuff. And I feel like that's kind of what... It's in that tradition. They're not making prog music. They're probably making like the least proggy music it's possible to make, 26 minutes for an album is unheard of in the world of prog.
Well, we should probably get into this. So when you said which album you wanted to discuss, I thought to myself, oh God, okay, I'm going to have to listen to 100 Gecs. Over the moon when I saw the length of the album.
I love it.
Very
TikTok
palatable.
Generation, man. That's
People
what it
have
is.
got places to be.
Yeah.
They got memes to look at.
Absolutely. You don't need to mess around. I also think it's like there's a story of, and I love the Pixies. I think Pixies are an amazing band. And they were recording, now I think it was with Gil Norton. It wasn't with Steve Albini, but they were recording Surfer Rosa, and their producer was saying, look, all your songs are like a minute and a half. Like, why? You've got to just do it, a few more lyrics, do the same thing over and over again. And he was like, no, let's go to a record store and I'll find you some records. And he got like a Buddy Holly record out. And he was like, look at all these songs. Every one of these songs is like, you do the verse, you do the chorus, you do a verse, maybe another chorus, and that's it. You're out. You're done. It's a minute 20. And I feel like that sort of thing goes in waves a little bit. You look at punk. Punk was about fast and quick and, not many chords, boom. And I feel like this is like, it's a generational thing. It's certainly different to, how overblown bands like Oasis became in the era. Like even their short songs, like 4.5 minutes.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be. That's not to say I don't like some of those bands which do, long, expansive stuff. But, if you go, I've put every idea I have about this song into a 55 seconds, great, there's your song.
Bang.
Why does it need to be 3 minutes?
Yeah. I think the exception to that is LCD Sound System, who are pretty good at a long song, aren't they?
Yes, but again, they're they're writing for a different audience.
Yes.
You know, you've got they're
writing for us.
they're writing for people on loads of drugs who don't know how long don't know if the song's even started.
Another great example, the band you're wearing right now on your jumper.
Big long songs.
We should probably discuss this.
Car seat headrest. Yeah, again,
couldn't have chosen them, no?
What's the point? You know, if you already know them,
Of course.
What's the point in that? And I think I like Car Seat Headrest were an interesting band, or are an interesting band, in that the last this and not the album before this one, even though this one is a re-recording of an album they did before. Anyway,
what a band!
Yeah, what a band exactly. When they were touring like their big album, I think I saw them 3 or 4 times on the tour. It's really interesting watching them because the first time they came out, it was like, wow, we're this big band now. Like, people want to see us. You know, we're able to tour in Britain. We're not from Britain, but we're able to tour in Britain, and they were really excited. And the second show, they were a bit like, okay, you know, it's great that you're still coming out, and look, we're in an even bigger venue. And then the next one, they were in a massive venue, and they were like, we're bored of these songs. They were actually sort of basically going, we don't like these songs anymore, but you like them, so blah, blah, blah. And then the next time I saw them, still touring on the same album, they were in a much smaller venue. And I was like, haha, there's a lesson there, isn't it? You know, you can't ever really complain about... You can complain about all of the other things around it, but you can't complain about people coming to see you. Right?
What I'd give.
Exactly. This is it.
Here's my left arm.
And it's mad, isn't it, how people are sort of so kind of... You know, people who for ages want to be successful, they get it, and then they're like... Chapel Roan, we can talk about Chapel Roan because she obviously was very vocal about fans not allowing her space. But that's not fans showing up to gigs. You want that. Yeah. You know, if you can do the kind of crowd she's getting at Coachella, amazing. It would be awful if she'd come out at Coachella and gone, you guys are all idiots. You bandwagon jumpers. I remember when I was playing to 12 people. That's when the shit was real. But yeah, but that said, I do love Car Seat Headrest.
We're back to 100 Gecs. I mean,
yes.
My concern is my dad's been quite supportive of this podcast so far. He might listen to this band, Matt.
Yeah?
How would you convince Yogi Bear, Chris Hahn, to listen to 100
How old
Gecs?
of a man is Chris Hahn? If it's, give us a sort of ballpark figure.
He is older than you.
He's older than me. Okay.
He's older than 100 Gecs.
40 ancient.
Combined. You're asking me how much. I'm pretty sure my dad. Fucking hell.
Do you not know how old your dad is?
Look, I know how old he was at one point.
Yeah, of course. That's not the question, is it? Well, I tell you what. Remember when that point was, and then add on how far away it was.
Even that I'm doubting now. No, my dad's 68.
He's 68.
He says with little confidence. I think my dad's 68.
So we're talking about, here's a man who would have grown up
70s glam rock. That was my dad's.
But he would have lived through. There's a lot of ska punk on this.
Yeah, that's what we've not tapped into yet. Yeah,
he would have lived through that era. Sure, there's going to be there's some new metal influences and there's some weird and more electronic stuff, but I think there's stuff on here that he would, if he approaches it with an open heart, an open mind.
Again, he's 68.
Yeah, but I don't want to. I don't want people to think, oh, I won't introduce Matthew to this band because he's this age.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like you want to kind of constantly be sure. You want to be able to comfort yourself with music that you know and love. Everyone wants to be able to do that, no matter what age. But I think you also want to, you want to have that be open to new stuff. You don't want to go like, right, well, I'm 50 now. I'm going to listen to Radio 2 and whatever they play me, that's it.
Yeah.
It is quite fun listening to Radio 2 now, actually. It's like it's mad.
Be careful what you say here. You are a Radio X man here.
No, but it's interesting listening to Radio 2. It's because, if in my head, what I think of Radio 2's playlist is not what Radio 2's playlist is now.
Sure.
Because, they'll play the Chemical Brothers and I'll be like, ooh. And you're like, no, because people who went and saw the Chemical Brothers are in their 50s now.
Yeah.
The Chemical Brothers must be...
They're in their 50s now.
They must be, yeah. I bet they're pushing 60. So, yeah, it's, of course... That's what Radio 2's playing.
What a time to be in your 50s.
Carly Simon, can it?
So we should get to some of the songs, I think, Matt, shouldn't we?
Yeah, go on. Let's.
So we've discussed the opener. Any other big standouts you'd like to discuss?
Okay, what have we talked about? We talked about Dumbest Girl Alive.
Well, I think the more obvious radio hit's probably Hollywood Baby, right?
Hollywood Baby is another one that you think, yeah, it's got a kind of... I mean, I think that's a pop song. I don't think it's. You know, obviously the thing they do is they auto tune their vocals. They ramp up the auto tune. They do. They really, really do. So they're always going to sound a bit odd and a bit alien.
But I put on this one, rather than trying to play 12 to 15 songs at the same time, they're only trying to play about 3. A winning formula. That was my notes. And here's the thing. So obviously I've listened to this album nearly 3 times now, Matt.
Right.
And on Sunday, I was like, okay.
You've devoted slightly over an hour to it then.
Exactly. Yeah. What a weekend. But on Sunday, I was like, right, I can listen to it properly, sit down, make some notes. And something weird started to happen where I started to enjoy it a bit.
It's because it's a really fantastic album.
There it is.
I mean, I can't convince, like you like what you like. And that's one of the great things about music is, if it's your thing, then it's your thing and amazing. And if it isn't, then no amount of going, oh, you've got to.
Yeah.
It's the same, one of the things I see as my greatest amount of personal growth is that I don't think I'm mean about music anymore.
Yeah, sure.
Which
I've definitely gone for an era of going, oh my God, you listen to...
Yeah, insert name of Coldplay. And I just used to be like so awful about this stuff.
Yeah.
And now I go, it doesn't matter.
No.
It's, it doesn't stop... It's not stopping your music, especially now, it's not stopping your music from getting to you. Because it's not like... I think I get it when, the only place to hear music was the radio or a chart show or Top of the Pops or whatever, and you go, oh, all these boring bands the bands I love aren't getting on there. Hey, if you're into those kind of bands, isn't there a part of you that wants no one else to be into them? You don't want everyone to listen to them, There are plenty of bands that you think, oh, they were amazing until they started trying to please people.
There's definitely not much risk of that with this lot. They're playing by their own rules here, aren't they?
But
they're not listening to the fat cats at EMI going, yeah, maybe we'll drop the auto-tune a little bit on this one.
I love the idea of them sort of sitting, the kind of the classic scene of them sitting there with a guy with a cigar in his mouth and his feet up on the table.
On their 5th line of cocaine.
Where's the single? I don't hear a single. It's like, I love it. And that's great.
Another tune I wanted to talk about, track 2, 757.
Yeah.
Got a lyric on here which caught my attention. I've been smoking since 11, told the devil he's a lemon.
He's a lemon.
What's the biggest insult you could think of to tell the devil? And is it harsher than calling him a lemon?
Yeah.
Don't forget, he's been torturing souls since the dawn of time.
I'd play him at his own game. I'd say, do you know what, actually? People think you're awful, but you're actually quite a nice guy. And he'd be like, no, I'm not. And you're like, no, you are. I'm going to tell everyone you're actually lovely. Please don't. It'll be like that. I think that's the only way you can defeat the devil.
You're going to manipulate the devil.
I'm going to say, listen, I think you get a bad rap. You're actually there's a lot of good in that black heart of yours. There really is. Like, no, there isn't. I'm mean. I'm awful.
Right git.
Yeah.
I'm
disgusting. Look at me. I'm pitchforking. Yeah, but look who you've taken to hell. All the bad people. You're actually working in tandem with God, aren't you?
I can see you're a good parent here.
God's up there with all the good people. You're
stuck down here with these right arseholes.
You're doing his bidding.
Yeah.
Right? If people don't believe in God, they come to you. So you and God are the same thing, aren't you? No, we're not. I'm the devil. No, you're sort of a version of God. So yeah, that's what I'd say. I love all of that kind of stuff. I love told the devil he's a lemon, because it's so sort of like cartoonishly pathetic.
Exactly.
And also just even the brag of I've been smoking since 11.
Yeah, smoking like a true 12-year-old.
Yeah, they're two stoners who think weed is either very cool or very funny, and of course it's both. So we know the crew of Tenacious D.
There's an album coming. I can hear it.
But I love that. I think that's a big part of what I like about this band is I'm not really into bands who. I was listening to this. I was thinking, have I got a treatise around music that I get from listening to 100 Gecs? And it's that there are two types of band. They're either a laugh or not a laugh. And I think if you name any band, I can go, they're either a laugh or not a laugh, and that will give me an idea of whether or not I like
Okay,
them.
let's have a go.
Okay.
Nirvana.
They're a laugh.
They're a laugh?
Yeah, absolutely a laugh. They were a silly band. They did silly stuff. Look at them on Top of the Pops.
That was a laugh.
That's
Morrissey
a laugh,
impression.
right? Yeah, doing the Morrissey impression, not moving your hands, just moving them up and down the frets to pretend like you play the guitar, knowing that there's a cameraman filming your hands. That's a laugh.
That's a laugh.
Right? You know.
Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Oh, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds are... Oh, that's really good because they are... I'm going to say Nick Cave, not a laugh, Bad Seeds a laugh. So they get away with it.
Yes,
they get away with it.
That's compromise, baby. We've got a hit on our hands.
Absolutely. That's what you need, a bit of both.
Let's have a think. Oasis.
You know what? I'm sorry to say, Oasis, not a laugh.
Not a laugh. You heard it here first.
Blur, a laugh. Oasis, not a laugh.
Yes, perfect. One more for the road. The Pigeon Detectives.
An unwitting laugh.
Thank you very much for your time, Matthew Crosby. Thanks
go.
for playing along. Shall we talk frogs on floor?
Let's talk about
some frogs. I thought maybe, is this some kind of metaphor for God knows what, but no, but I think it's literally about a frog being on the floor.
I think it's both. I think it's, well, like all great pop music, it's whatever you want it to be. But I think it's a really interesting song because they released the stems for this album because they want people to sort of mess around and make their own versions of it. And so I listened to the isolated vocals of this, and this is a sort of serious point really because Laura is trans, and part of the reason for ramping up the autotune is because she suffers a lot with kind of vocal dysphoria where she doesn't like her voice. She feels that her voice is she's not happy with her voice, and so on this album they've actually turned the autotune down a little bit and she's singing with her own voice. And so I actually found like it's a silly song about a frog going to a party and doing a keg stand. But so I wrote on Twitter or something like this saying like I'm listening to the isolated vocal, I'm actually finding it quite moving. And someone sent me a message saying it's a song about radical acceptance.
Whoa.
And I was like, oh yeah,
whoa,
it is a metaphor for going, look, this frog is going to show up at your party. Is Laura the frog? Who knows? But this frog is going to show up at your party and you're going to go, oh, we don't like the way you're behaving. You know, and the lyric there is give him some space. He's just working it out. Give him some space. He doesn't know what people think about. And you're like, yeah, we've all been the frog at the party going, oh, I'm trying to maneuver this social situation. I'm awkward about myself. And I think it's. So when you put it through that prism, you're like,
this is wild. This is great. And this is the kind of insight I wasn't expecting on Frog on the Floor. I underestimated this completely.
Let's give credit where credit's due. It was somebody who sent me that message on Twitter.
Shout out to them.
But yeah, I thought, and I think that's part of the reason why I find this record so interesting is because they're not just goofballs. Laura specifically has a very interesting and very modern story. And you look at something like, Most Wanted Person in the United States. You look at the video for that, you listen to the song, it could just be a jokey song. But it's about living in a world where everybody thinks you're a criminal and if you look at if you look at the rise of the alt-right and you look at, Trump being re-elected and you look at how people are like up in arms about drag queens reading books to children in libraries, and you go, oh yeah, there is a big faction of the Western world that thinks trans people are criminals, and they're not. They're just trying to, they're human beings who are trying to live their life and don't need you fucking with them. And so when you look at it through that prism, and again, this is, you can still listen to it which I did for the first probably 400 times I listened to the album, as a silly, goofy, throw everything at the wall pop record, but there is,
hidden depth to it.
There's hidden depth to it in a way that isn't going, bam, here's my message, bam, here's my message. It's a message that, it's a coded message that if you are attuned to it, you'll hear it, and it's there for you. So if you are a 13, 14-year-old trans kid, you'd be like, oh yeah, I love this band because they're talking about me in a way that, through the metaphor of a frog doing a keg stand. So they're being funny about it as well. I love it. I think it's great.
Well, I guess as the comedian yourself, I guess you've got to laugh at everything, right? And then they're sort of doing that here, aren't they? They're sort of finding the humour in their difficult lives.
Yeah, and I like music that's like, I've got a very high threshold for silly music. Again, they might be Giants, another example, a band who are just, they've been dismissed as a novelty band, I'm sure. But I think it's great. It's good. It's good to have. I'll tell you, here's another novelty band, the Beatles. Listen to Sgt. Pepper's, like 4 or 5 of those songs on there are like cartoon. It gets leveled at Paul McCartney quite a lot. Because obviously there's that thing that John Lennon described it as granny music.
Yeah.
But he's like, we're not going to do lovely Rita Meter Maid today. We're doing Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, the song that I've written. It's like they're both still weird little musical ditties, and I think I love that sort of thing. I think it's just songs that have a sense of humour is exciting.
Well, speaking of sense of humour,
yeah, go on.
There's a line.
I was going to say you basically pick any song. You go, tell me about this.
No, we're
song.
still on Frog on the Floor. There's a lot in that 2 minutes 41.
Yeah, go on.
Fucking hell. There's a line that really stood out to me that I thought you'd like.
Go
the
on.
lyric says, "A frog telling croaks at the party."
Yeah, it's a pun.
There's a pun on frogs and croaking and jokes.
And it's one of those great moments in pop music where the singer is so amused at their own joke that they laugh. Laura laughs. She goes like, "Croaks at the party," like sings it like that. And other great examples are Michael Stipe in The Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight when he sings a reading from Dr. Seuss and then finds this so funny that he sung about Dr. Seuss that he sings the chorus but he's laughing. I love it.
Normalise laughing at your own jokes in songs.
Normalise finding yourself a good laugh.
Yeah, man, I'm all for that.
We should all find ourselves a good laugh.
So there's one more song I want to discuss here, actually. I got my tooth removed. Again, I probably took that at entry level of... It appears to be a song about someone getting a tooth removed, but now I think of the whole trans side of it.
Well, it could be more than that. It could be... Is it physical? Is it, is this more of this, I did science on my face from Dumbest Girl Alive? Is it, I got a part of my personality, I got an aspect of my life removed? Although they do actually, weirdly, in the first ever interview I saw with them, the Pitchfork interview, they do talk about having really bad, not flossing enough and needing teeth removed. So it could just be, teeth are a pain in the arse, aren't they? They're a pain in the mouth, I should say. I should say.
They're a pain in the arse.
I've got anal dentata. I normally don't tell people that, but you've got an exclusive there.
There you go. We're clipping that up, definitely.
But yeah, teeth I find really. A friend of mine has just his wisdom teeth are coming through. That's the other thing as well. Like the 2 people I know whose teeth are coming through are my 5-year-old daughter and my 43-year-old friend Tom, who's got a wisdom tooth coming through. It's like
thoughts and prayers have all involved.
It's like getting spots when you're in your, it's like getting. Oh yeah, well, there we go. Yeah. But you go, oh, is there ever a point when this doesn't? When
do I become a grown up?
When do I become a grown up? When I haven't got my teeth coming through, so I can't sleep at night. But yeah, teeth. There. Have you had a tooth out? Have you ever had a tooth removed?
No, I don't think so, man. I've had what do you call it? Drilling in your teeth. What's it called?
Like a root canal?
Root canal.
Oh, yeah.
That was a bad day.
That's really bad. Well, the tooth being pulled out is wild because they numb all your face and then you can just feel them like rooting around in there. You can really feel them like rummaging. It doesn't hurt or anything, but you can feel them. And they literally have to like put their knee on the table to pull it out. It feels medieval apart from obviously the anesthetic.
The painkilling map.
But then once it's come out, you've got 2 weeks of trying not to get, which again sounds medieval, trying not to get dry socket.
Excuse me?
Dry socket is what can happen to you if you've got a tooth removed, because you just got a big gaping wound.
It's the silent killer.
It is the silent killer. I mean, no one's talking about dry socket. Finally, this is the podcast to do it. But your tooth gets removed. You've got this big gaping hole in your mouth. Oh. Two of them, the mouth included. The first one's the mouth. The second one is
the gaping hole to the second gaping hole.
Exactly, yeah. And it's there, and you can't get food caught in it. It can get infected. You can't stick your tongue in it, which is, torture because your tongue's right there.
You want to play with
the hole,
right? You want to play with it.
You can't play with your hole. That's one of the things my dentist said to me. Please stop playing with your hole. So I remember when I got my wisdom tooth out, that evening I was like, I'll eat something really plain. I'll eat beans on toast, And it took me 90 minutes to finish a plate of beans on toast because you've got to chew with one side of the mouth. You've got to gargle with salt water. Oh, it's a nightmare. So yeah.
How's your mouth now?
Do you know what? It's fine, but I do sort of miss the days when you'd get to your sort of late 30s and they just go, right, they're all coming out. Have some false teeth.
Bang.
Just have a gob full of
Bring
false
back careless dental care.
Exactly. I'm not looking for I don't want to go to Turkey and get, that kind of, that Hollywood smile. I just think I got one tooth removed and I thought, oh, that'll be the end of it. And now there's always stuff getting caught in it. You feel like you're constantly flossing. Do you not feel that?
I mean,
you've got lovely teeth.
Well, they've cost me enough. Went to Turkey last week to get on the jacket. No, I got my Invisalign done a couple of years ago for an excessive amount of money. So there is a level of maintenance that I need to maintain. My skin's fucked.
Right.
But my teeth...
Your teeth are looking good.
Hello.
As long as you've got one, I think it's...
You can't have both. That's
it's
a piss
skin,
take.
it's hair, it's teeth. If you've got one good thing, you're fine.
2 out of 3 ain't bad, baby.
You've got nice hair and you've got nice teeth, so you're doing fine. But yeah, I think I discovered, because I've got... and I've talked about this on Radio X, so you may know this already, but I've got a baby tooth still. I've got one of my milk teeth still there. And I didn't discover this until about a year ago. And they said, we can take it out and we can realign all your teeth with Invisalign. But by that point, I had 2 kids and the money was just... Like, if it happened before kids, I would have been like, yeah, great. Yeah. And now it's like, I could... It's literally, do you want to remove a tooth or...
Feed your children.
Or feed your children for a year. And have a new bathroom and go on holiday.
Yeah,
it's like, it's insane.
Modern life's tough, man.
I know.
Modern life's tough.
And I think I'm just going to wait till it falls out naturally, which it probably will do in the next sort of 10 years or so.
We only something to look forward to, man.
Exactly, yeah. And then I'll get like a...
While we wait for 100,000 Gecs.
Exactly, yeah. He's got a 10-year plan. He's looking forward to being
But that's not a dental plan.
He's going to be a music fan for the next 10 years. I'm going to have this tooth for the next 10 years, and then we'll
compare notes.
Cross that bridge in a decade.
2035. Can't wait, man. Anything else you want to discuss about the record or the band that we've not covered yet?
Anything else? I mean, I'm absolutely gutted that they didn't. That I've never been to their gigs.
Yeah.
Because I've watched them. Watched them on YouTube. I think they look amazing. I will say one thing. A friend of mine went and saw them just before this album came out. I think the first and last time they played the UK, and he said their fans were the most obnoxious people. I think compared to Chapel Roan's gig, where it's all everyone's dressed as a pink cowboy and everyone's being lovely.
Friendship bracelets at 100 Gecs.
I don't think so.
Because other people saying they sound like the most horrible noise the band is, like your metal fans, like the nicest people in the world. You go in to see Ed Sheeran and it's full of absolute cunts.
Right. Well, my only experience of that is I went to the Glastonbury where Ed Sheeran performed, and I did not watch Ed. On the Sunday night, I went home, but I can't vouch for that. But I can vouch for heavy gigs tend to have lovely crowds.
So this is the exception.
But I think I don't know. I think it's because they are lots of teenage pot smokers. I think their music is. There's an obnoxiousness
exactly
to
what
it.
Say, yeah.
So I think that's
you don't go there to the show then go, hey guys, let's all just try and be really nice to each other.
It's not like that. I used to go to hardcore shows when I was at university, and they are wild because they really are that example of the most heavy, industrial, thrashy, everyone's screaming, everyone's going absolutely berserk. And then there would be a bit where the audience would kind of form a sort of semicircle. And these weren't massive gigs. There was no more than 200 people at these gigs. Everyone would form a semicircle, and then the thing would just pass the microphone around amongst the audience, and they would just talk about their worries.
What?
Yes, genuinely. No, I loved it. It was
my worry is the microphone will land on me. I'll have to talk about my worries.
But no, they would literally they would pass the microphone to someone and go, it's so amazing to be here at the moment because my mum is very sick. She's got cancer. We've got there's a good prognosis. She's going to pull through it, but hopefully she's going to be okay. And it's just really wonderful to be with you all here tonight. And then pass the microphone around. And I was like, this is wild because the music doesn't, if you heard that music, you'd be like, these guys are going to want to smash your face in. But they weren't. They were really sweet, tender, like emo kids. They all had the cross on the hand, the cross on the hand was like the straight edge thing. If you're straight edge, it means that you've said no to booze and to drugs and to cigarettes.
And dental hygiene?
And I don't know about the. Yeah, I'm sure they were flossing a lot. I mean, they weren't putting anything into their system to mess up their teeth anyway. But they were all very sweet, clean living people who got everything out of their system through the music. It's wild. But apparently that's not the case at 100 Gecs gigs. They're all awful.
So I don't know what we've learned from this, really. But like,
every gig is different. That's why we keep going.
Is different. So normally I do like a little quiz at the end of these.
Great.
I've not done that.
Oh, that's okay.
Instead, what I've done is written some bad jokes.
Okay. And what do you want me to do?
I don't really know. I hadn't thought this much through.
You want to be a one-person audience for your bad jokes? I'm happy to do it.
Or you can try and get the answers, I guess.
Yeah, all right.
That's actually, we have structure.
All right, here we go.
Okay. These aren't good jokes. I should make that very clear.
You specified they were bad jokes. Don't
Perfect.
worry. I'm not expecting anything good here.
What did John Lennon say to 100 Gecs at a music venue in South Kensington?
Oh, the South Kensington bit's thrown me. What is the music venue in South Kensington?
The Royal Albert Hall.
It is okay. What did he say? I don't know. Go on. You're gonna have to help me out here. Go on.
It doesn't work. Now they know how many Gecs it takes to fill the Albert Hall. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Right. Okay. No, I was trying too hard on that. That's fine. Now they know how many Gecs. So now they know how many holes it takes to fill the Albert Hall. You take the word holes and you've replaced it with the word Gecs. Okay. Now I think I've got it. I think I've got it now. Here we go. Yeah.
This next joke was written before I realised they had a song called Doritos and Fritos. But anyway, we're going in. What do you get if you cross loads of bags of Doritos with a hyperpop duo from St. Louis, America?
100 chips.
Oh, we're almost there. 100 Tex-Mex Gecs.
I like that. Yeah.
You like that?
That's better.
Yeah?
That's your best one so far.
Okay. If an infinite number of monkeys have an infinite number of typewriters, how long does it take 100 Gecs to write a chorus?
Trick question. There are no choruses.
There are no choruses. There never will be. Okay. In 1954, Louis Armstrong released the song called St. Louis Blues. The song is widely rumoured to be about a premonition he had that 100 Gecs would exist in 2019. True or false?
That's true.
It's true. Thank you. That's correct. Okay, this one I think's right up your street. This is
Well,
this is the best of the bunch. This is the best of the bunch. It's the last one. If it's the last one, yeah, it's the last one.
Okay, here we go.
And it is the best. Okay. This may take a few running times.
All right, okay.
Okay. The 1975 have a song called Sex. Playboy Carti has a song called Flex. Tech 9 has a song called Tex-Mex. Ash have a song called T-Rex. Future has a song called High Tech Tech. 100 Gecs have an album called 10,000 Gecs. Now, is it true or false that 100 Gecs have covered these songs to make the 100 Gecs High Tech Tech Tex-Mex Sex Flex with T-Rex by 100 Gecs that is only available via a text from an ex?
That is 100% true.
It's true. Who'd have thought it, man? I can't believe they got that on the first go. That was good.
By the way,
that was good, man.
That was really impressive.
Running jump at that. It pulled up. Yeah,
it's really good. Okay, I'm gonna do my. This is a much simpler version of it. What is Dylan and Laura's favourite board game?
I got nothing.
It's of course Gecs Who.
Well, this has been this album. I've been William Hann. He's been Matthew Crosby. They have been 100 Gecs. Matthew, I can't thank you enough for coming today. This has been a right laugh.
What a total pleasure. I've loved it. Cheers, man. There we go. It felt right. That was great fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. Really appreciate it.
No, it's any time.